Ahaitukya pratihata yayatma suprasiddhi. How to bring suprasiddhi to the Atma. How to bring real bliss, real satisfaction to the soul is a science. Srimad Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita is explaining that science of how to actually really nourish oneself. What is that process? Bhakti, service, loving devotional service unto a Dokshaja, an infallible one. But what quality of bhakti? What kind of bhakti? Ahetu apratita. Hetu means cause, reason, motive. Ahetu means without any motive, without any desire for oneself. And apratita, nitya, constantly. This is the kind of bhakti which actually brings supreme satisfaction for the self. This is what we have to strive for. And we have to organize our life in such a way that we can live as much as possible like that. I don't have anything for myself. There were some disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They were Grihastha disciples, Grihastha couple. And every month, whenever they got paid, they would come to their spiritual master and give every penny to the spiritual Saraswati Thakur. And they would have a list of their needs, basic needs. They would have a list of what it is and how much it will cost. And then they would beg this. They would give everything and they would beg this from their spiritual master, Gurudev. If you consider it appropriate, you consider these reasonable, then please give us this luxury. And then in this kind of environment, with that kind of surrender, magic happens. That's what we experience Krishna's magic in our lives. The more we surrender, Krishna says, this is his promise. Oriya Bhagavad Gita. I feel one of the most important verses in the Gita. As we surrender unto Krishna, Krishna reciprocates. This is his promise. We have to try that. We have to experience that in our lives. Surrender and surrender some more and just see how Krishna comes through. One of my favorite stories from Prabhupada memories is Shamsundar Prabhu. One of the first disciples, pioneering disciples, he went to the UK with 6 others to start the yatra in the UK and so many other amazing things. He said he was in San Francisco and he was staying in an apartment. They had a temple. Temple means, there was just an apartment which they were using as a place of worship. And they had no idea how they were going to pay the rent. They had no income. They were scraping together the luxury on a monthly basis, just about paying the rent. But they said the rent was due the next day. They were just really concerned. How are we ever going to pay the rent? We have no way of doing it. So they were stressing about it. They woke up in the morning, they got ready, they went out, and they were just walking across the street to the temple. Mangalarti. And as they were walking down the street, they saw $100 bills rolling down the street. Literally. That day, they had to pay the rent. They thought they were going to be evicted. And there were $100 bills rolling down the street. They grabbed it. And they were amazed. How does this happen? Where does this come from? This is Krishna. What else? Krishna comes through. And what is most amazing,
Exactly.
what was most amazing for me was that he says that this wasn't extraordinary to us at that time. When they look back, they think, oh my God, that was absolutely amazing. But he says this became normal for us. This kind of magic, these kind of experiences just became part of our lives. Shri Shri Radha Gopivaranam Ki, Shri Krishna Swadharmaya Ki, Swadharmaya Ki. It became the norm. That became a part of their lives. So when these magical experiences took place, oh, that's wonderful. Krishna came through again. Thank you, Krishna. And then they got on with life because it was just normal. Because they were living such a life of service and surrender, dedication to the spiritual master. Yesterday, for one who has implicit faith. That doesn't mean just theoretically, but practically you apply it in your life. When you have implicit faith in the words of the spiritual master, in Krishna, then all of the imports of the Vedic literatures are automatically revealed in the heart of that kind of disciple. So implicit faith in the words of the order of the spiritual master. Krishna Chakravarti Thakur says that Vyavasyapika buddhi ekeva gurunandana. So he comments on this verse, and he says, for one who has this kind of one-pointed, thank you, one-pointed faith, attention, and focus. This is the order of my spiritual master, and that is my life and soul. And when one lives like that, it's a very powerful thing. When this reminds me, I'm speaking. It reminds me of when there was Dronacharya. He was the martial teacher of the Pandavas and the Kauravas. And it came to the examination day, I guess. And there was a bird in the tree. You all know the story, but I like to meditate on it. There's a bird in the tree. And the task was to shoot the eye of the bird. And the Sasana got up, he took the bow and arrow, he's taking aim. And Dronacharya asked him, what do you see? And he says, I see the sky, I see the trees, I see the fruits of the trees, and I see the bird. Dronacharya says, sit down. Duryodhana gets up. What do you see? I see the tree, I see the, sit down. And like that, he went through. Everyone, sit down, sit down, sit down. Arjun got up. Arjun, what do you see? Gurudev, I see the eye of the bird. Arjun, what else do you see? Gurudev, I see nothing else. I only see the eye of the bird. Dronacharya said, shoot. Of course, Arjun gets it right in the eye of the bird. That kind of laser sharp focus. See, we have so many other responsibilities also in our lives that may be there. But in the innermost recesses of our heart, in our core, we have to keep the goal very, very clear in our minds and hearts. Arjun, every evening during the battle of Kurukshetra, is sharpening his arrows. He knows who his target is for the next day, and is meditating on that personality, and he's sharpening his arrows. The day Abhimanyu was killed, that evening Arjun was crying and sharpening his arrows. Who is he sharpening his arrows for? Yes, because he was the cause. I mean, one of the causes, but the obstacle which stopped the Pandavas from going through protecting Abhimanyu. I will kill Jagadharma. So Arjun was very focused. So we all have to be, as Bhakti Tirtha would say, we have to be spiritual warriors. Very, very clear, very, very focused and fixed. Number one, on the word and order of the spiritual master, spiritual masters. And number two, one has to be very fixed of the goal of Krishna consciousness. Why am I here? Why am I practicing this process? What is the goal of everything? When I pick up my feet bag, what is the purpose? O Lord, O energy of the Lordship, you are loving. Please engage me in your loving devotional service. Gopakumar in Great Ashramita is instructed, Yat Yat Sankalpa Bhavasa Nija Mantra Spishasi Tat Prabhavena Tat Sarvam Vancha Chetam Jat Seshati. It's explained that be careful when you're chanting this mantra. Chant your mantra with great determination, but be careful what you meditate on, because whatever you want, whatever is your vancha, your desire, that will come true. Tat prabhavena tat sarvam vancha. Whatever your sarva vancha. So we say to the Vaishnavas, what do we say? Vancha kalpatarupascha, kripasindhavelacha. So the Vaishnavas are like wish-fulfilling deities. In the same way, a mantra is very powerful, very potent. Whatever is our desire in our heart, what's we're chanting, whatever desires we're cultivating, not just what we say, not just what we profess, but what are the desires in our hearts? A sincere Vaishnava says, a sincere sadhaka says, okay, I have a notice in my heart. I have material desires in my heart, but I don't want them. I don't want them. Once there was Srila Prabhupada at the airport, sitting on a chair, and sannyasis were sitting. Prabhupada was speaking, and the sannyasis were sitting there with their dandas, listening, very, very attentive, very, very focused. And then a beautiful woman walked by, and all of their heads followed. And then Srila Prabhupada saw. And then he said, beautiful, isn't she? And all of their heads went down. They felt so ashamed because they had been caught by the spiritual master. But then Srila Prabhupada said, but what are you going to do about it? He said, absolutely nothing. It's a very interesting point. Okay, so material desires may be there, but what are you going to do about it? Absolutely nothing. So sincere sadhaka has that determination that I have these desires, but I don't want them. I don't want them. And therefore, I get on with my spiritual life, I do my service, I do my sadhana with all my heart. I redirect my attention in this way. I do not cultivate these desires. I don't meditate on them. And in this way, as we're very exacting in our spiritual practice, we're very focused in Krishna consciousness, and gradually, unwanted things will be removed from the heart. If one is very vyavasyakabhakti ekeha gurunandana, single pointed in our focus and attention. I'm going to stop and see if there's any comments, questions. Mariku, would you like to say something?
Thank you for the nice class. Like you said, you have to focus on the instruction that we get and also the ultimate goal, develop harmony. But sometimes it seems like quite contradictory because the practical instructions could be to do something for the movement, which is very, very difficult to do and involves a lot of mental energy and stress and all that. And in that, we kind of forget the real goal of how do we actually reconcile both.
Thank you. Everyone heard for the camera. The question is, so we receive instructions from the spiritual master or seniors, authorities, and then there's a goal. We have to be very fixed on both. But it sometimes seems that they can sometimes be contradictory, because the instruction that we receive may be to do something of the movement, preaching, mission, which takes so much time and attention away, and that maybe then makes us suffer. Life is a balancing act. It's a constant theme in anyone's life. We have to balance both sadhana and seva. There are two aspects of bhakti. One is Rupa Jiva Goswami talks about this in a book called Dodama Sangani. He said that there are two aspects of bhakti. Number one is Cheshtarup Bhakti, the physical activity, all of the service that we do day to day. Second aspect is Bhavarup Bhakti. This isn't referring to ecstatic devotion bhava, but the mood with which we do our service. What is the bhava? What is the mood? What is that consciousness whilst we're doing our service? So very important to remember two aspects, Cheshtarup Bhakti and Bhavarup Bhakti. It's easier sometimes to do cheshta, to do activity. More difficult to cultivate the right path, to cultivate the right mood. So sometimes we ourselves may drive us into a position where we're doing many things. But when it comes to sadhana, when it comes to reading and studying the books, contemplating Shastra, when it comes to chanting Hare Krishna attentively with focus, we shy away a little bit. We don't give it proper time and attention. We get ourselves involved in so many services. So this tendency we have to be careful about. This is a personal saying. Second thing is, spiritual master sometimes knows an idle mind is a devil's workshop. And therefore, better that he's engaged in practical service. Otherwise, he can't do too much time for sadhana, he won't use it properly. So this is another consideration. And the third thing that we always have to remember is a nice verse by Prabodhananda Saraswati from Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, Yataya Pagoda Padara Vinde Bhakti Punyanakshi Sadat Doshrapati Hita Kashmat Radha Padambocha Sudamburakshi. This is 888 from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabodhananda Saraswati explains that as you serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you serve the mission, you serve the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And gradually, through that service, the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani will be revealed. What spiritual form will be revealed. My spiritual master said to us many times that with every book you distribute, your swarup is gradually being revealed. With every book you distribute, your swarup is gradually being revealed. So our process is very deep. What we're engaging in, what we have here, is very deep, is very profound. We have to latch onto that. And these things should inspire us. Okay, yeah, doing the mission. In the baby periods, I know Richard Mushroom at the Manor, we had 80,000 guests over 2 days usually. Usually we had a 2-day festival. One was the Mushroom Day and then the Sunday, because many people couldn't make it on the Sunday. So then we'd have, many people couldn't make it on the work day, so then we'd have it on the Sunday. And if the actual day was on the Sunday, then we usually have Saturday, Sunday together, 2 days, big Janmashtami festival, the biggest Janmashtami outside of India, 80,000 other people, big. So much to do, so much service to do. It was busy all day, as you can imagine. And then the next day is the Sutra, you know. So it was intense. The sadhana goes out the window. Lucky if you chant your rounds. That was a 1 day in the year, when on 2 or 3 occasions, I didn't chant my rounds. So terrible. But it's life. But then afterwards, you have a bit of time, you get back into balance. So life is, there are always things which take us out of balance. It's part of life. We have to focus on, when I'm out of balance, how do I get back into balance? How well? And what are the methods, the means which help me to bring life back into balance. Sangha, reading your favorite shastra, these things can help us bring balance back. Someone else?
We were mentioning about this pastimes and also theme about how disciples surrenders everything Prana Vidya Vacha. Quoted so many examples from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Chayan Prabhupada, and how even Shyam Sundar Prabhu and others, how they were like many times they were kind of in a desperate situation. So I wanted to hear from you, like from both Shastric perspective and practical aspect, like 70s, like was a time when there's a lot of surrender. So at least if someone is not very, very advanced, one is in a desperate situation, it takes a toil, maybe physically, mentally, to some degree. So then, is it like again, is there a balance there also? Like you cannot be in that state for long, but then it apparently means then you're taking care of yourself, which is kind of opposite to not doing Pani or Vidya Vacha.
Sustainable
Sustainable.
Sustainable surrender, yes.
Sustainable surrender. You know, like anything. I could give a really long answer to this, but I'm going to give a short answer. Balance settings. If someone is giving a donation, there should be something. Donation means, Robert says, there should be something, some discomfort. But not that you give everything and then you want to treat things. Yeah? If you're giving your time, then you have household duties, you have to work. So it's not that you become irresponsible and neglect your children and neglect your work, get fired and divorced, and then just sit in the temple. So balance is very important. Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita 6:17, Yukta Hara Viharasya, Yukta Chitasya Karmasu, Yukta Swapna Bodhasya, Yoga Bhavati Dukha. If we want to become free from the pangs of material energy, then we have to be balanced in eating, sleeping, work, and recreation. Our tendency often is to be extreme in our activities. That's that tendency. It's good to check, understand what our tendencies are, and be balanced. So maybe one Saturday, okay, so I sacrifice a few other things, and I go out and distribute books. I just went out yesterday. Well, I came here for the first time late Friday evening. And yesterday we went outside, and there's so many people around. We were right in the middle of town, an amazing location. Very good. Amazing for preaching. You go out, there's teeming with people. Go out, distribute a few books. Have some spare time, distribute books. Maybe that requires some sacrifice. Other things you can't do. But then I often find that when I push myself, then Krishna extends time. Time is Krishna's energy. Krishna's in charge. He can make time stop. We don't even notice. Or other things, problems just get resolved. Issues get resolved by some other person. So Krishna also helps. But at the same time, we can't go too overboard. These things. So yes, for sure, the 70s was a pioneering phase of that movement. And I think in our own ways, given our own situations, we should look to try and recreate that mood to some degree at least. Thank you so much, everyone, for your kind attention. It's wonderful to be here in Boston. Such a nice group of devotees. We had 2 evening programs, Friday night and Saturday night. Such a nice group of devotees. So it's very refreshing. I really thank my group for accepting this, arranging everything. And I also invite everyone to please come to Hungary sometime. And there can be a Boston temple group which comes. We live in a global village. Everything is so easy these days. Flying around the world, wherever you like. Maybe on the way to India, you stop by in Budapest, Hungary, and visit our farm. Krishna Valley, New Rajadhan. It's a beautiful place. 750 acres, 75 cows, beautiful Radhasham Sundar deities, 300 devotees living on the farm, and many wonderful activities. And for those who don't know, we have some beautiful books. These books have been written by Shri Maharaj, which elaborate on Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan specifically, giving many details which devotees wouldn't have heard before, based on the writings of the Acharyas. Maharaj studied 2,000 books to put these together. The bibliography is huge, and wonderful, beautiful artwork also. So we'll be presenting them this evening also at Sunday Feast. Yeah, we leave tomorrow morning. So thank you so much, everyone. Shri Shri Radha Gopi Vallabh Ji ki jai. Shri Shri Chandra Baldeswara Mai ki jai. Shri Shri Gaurakai ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Boston ki jai. Nitai Gauramanandi.
Prabhu, what is the daily activities or life of the people who are living with that field?
So the question is, what is the day-to-day life of those devotees who are living on the farming boundary? So it varies.
Do they work outside?
So the devotees living on the farm, there's 150 devotees who live on the farm itself, are fully dependent on the farm, and they're mainly grasses, but they're basically like brahmacharis in the sense that they do whatever is required. They're dependent on the temple provides them with everything, they have their own houses. The houses, there's no property rights. This is communal living. So the houses belong to the farm. The devotees live on the farm, they live in the houses, couples, families. And they do whatever is needed. So if you're serving the goshala, then you serve the cows. If you're growing potatoes or carrots or beetroot or pumpkin, then you take care of that. There's someone else who is pujari. The pujari schedule is like in any other temple. Morning program is 4:30 to 8:30 normal. So it's a normal ISKCON temples. Everyone is full time. Is living there, full time engaged in the mission, in the services. During the summer, and often devotees go for farming early in the morning and in the evening. During the day, it's too hot. Like farming.
Early means how early?
Early means 5:30, 5:36. And then they'll do it till 10, take a break, and then in the evening they'll go out for a little longer. Devotees do 7-8 hours of service a day, like that. Yeah, every department is different according to the need. There's about 40 different departments. There's a lot of different services. And then winter is also a different period because there's not as much farming going on. We have polytunnels, so they do grow some things all year round. But then devotees are engaged. Otherwise, we have New Rajadhan is on the Hungarian tourist maps. So it's presented as an eco farm, a self-sustainable farm community where people pull water from a well. They don't have any electricity. So we have 30,000 non-devotee tourists who come every year just to visit the farm, check it out. And they pay some fee to get in, and they're given a tour. So there are some devotees, especially during summer months, who are in charge of tourism. And they show people around, they introduce them to Radhasham Sundar, they give them a chance to fan the divine couple, and show them around the farm. So many different services there, many different activities. So according to those services, the schedule is built. Yeah, think of anything else. Yeah, there's a restaurant, there's a restaurant on the farm.
There's no electricity in the farm.
We have the temple room has solar panels, so that they can have mics for kirtan, festivals, etc. And the office, they have some solar panels. And Maharaj's house has solar panels because he has to write. Otherwise, it's off the grid. So the electricity pylons don't go there. Because many times it's been calls to have at least some of the places to have some electricity, but Maharaj said no. Because if we get wired to the electricity, then everyone will want it. It can be difficult. I last there 2 or 3 weeks. I'm a silly boy. It's difficult. A lot of my service revolves around my laptop, and it's a real effort to get your electronics charged there.
So you never stayed for long there.
I never stayed for long. I stayed there for 4 months during COVID. During COVID, the Hungarian Yatra, the leadership decided that they wanted to, at that point, when COVID first broke out, February, March 2020, no one knew what was going to happen. And the Hungarian government took quite a risk-averse move towards COVID. So they wanted everyone to get the vaccine like that. Let's not get into the pros and cons of the vaccine. But the Yatra also therefore took a risk-averse approach. So they thought, okay, if this is the point where the world is going to end as we know it, then what do we do? One of the reasons why Prabhupada wanted farms was that at some point, civilization, as it is now, will become to an end. And the kind of, we have bananas from Cuba, and we have, mangoes from India, and we have so many things coming from all over the world. If all of that stops, then what do we do? How much food is there available on the supermarket shelves here in Boston? How many days can we last if all of the supplies stop coming in from all over the world? A few days, maybe a week if you're lucky. And then what will we do? How will we eat? So then the Budapest Temple started a project. And that project was to grow our own fruit and vegetables so that we could live. So then a group of devotees, and I was in charge of the group, who were sent to the farm to do farming. So we grew potatoes, beetroot, pumpkin, carrots, and runner beans during COVID time. And it was also like an experiment to see, okay, how equipped are we to be self-sufficient? The farm was okay. They've been doing it for 30 years. But what would happen to the Budapest Temple? So then we went to the farm and we were growing vegetables. I was also editing one of the books. Maharaj's books is called The Kalpa Comedy. It's a textbook. It's a textbook of how to advance in Christian consciousness, based on Maharaj's realizations of practicing for 50 plus years and his inspirations from studying Kriya Bhagavatam, 980 pages. But it was an intense book to edit. So I spent a lot of time on that and some time farming, growing vegetables, Budapest. It was an experience. Yeah, Prabhupada said in 1975, there was a conversation where Prabhupada said that it's going to be a world war in 50 years' time. 1975 plus 50 years means he said there'll be a world war in 50 years. And that world war will begin with India and Pakistan. And then it will escalate and become a world war. Prabhupada said this. You can listen to the conversation. It's March 75, do you remember? Anyways, it's an interesting conversation. Prabhupada is, so at some point, the world will not be the same. And COVID was like a little tremor.
Right.
Yeah, like an earthquake's going to come, there's tremors, little shake up. At some point, and everyone said, oh, we can't wait until the world goes back to normal. And we're kind of back to normal, if you like. there's some changes, but really we're back to normal. But is this normal? Is this a sustainable, proper way to live? So at some point, there's probably going to be a big change. April 1975. Okay, let's see.
What do you have in the city? This is countryside, right?
So this is the countryside, and then in the city, we have the Budapest Temple. That's where I live, and we have a beautiful big temple. Glorified deities. We have a restaurant in the temple, Govindas, and then there's two Govindas restaurants in the city, center of the city. We have 15 to 20 brahmacharis, and then about 10 brahmacharis living in the temple. We have food for life. We feed 4,000 people every day in Budapest. We have book distribution as the main activity. Book distribution is the practically the only source of funding for Budapest Temple. The Budapest Temple runs on book distribution, and it's been designed in that way because Shiva Maharaj wanted to maintain the Prabhupada book distribution as the central activity in the temple. So any congregation member who wants to donate to the temple, to the society, they have to donate to the farm. They can't donate to Budapest because Budapest Temple has to run on book distribution, and that policy keeps Sankirtan as a central activity in the temple. We get 5% donations from the hundi, from the donation box. Otherwise, 95% is book distribution. So we have a team of 10 to 15 book distributors. They go out daily, 5 days a week, 6 hours a day, and they distribute books.
You also are part of the same.
I did that for the first 7 to 8 years. Now my services have changed a little bit, but I was in charge of the book distribution when I arrived in Budapest for 7 years. And it's intense, not easy. It's wonderful.
And how you do preaching? Is the main preaching through book distribution or?
We have book distribution, and then we have a follow-up team. And we have a center downtown. It's called Dinaputi. And so people who we meet through Harinam book distribution, any means, they then funnel into the team who takes care of people interested. They have regular programs, prashadam, classes, etc., and cultivation.
So the cultivation team is different.
Yes, separate.
The book distribution, they don't cultivate.
So the book distributors and the cultivation team are separate. They work together, of course, but it's two separate teams. Book distributors find it difficult to really cultivate people. They take them to the point where they hand them over at the center to the cultivating team, and then the cultivators take care of them. And then probably once that's maybe the most impressive thing is we have a college. And I'll say, talking about this yesterday, but I'll say it again. So we have a college. So next to the Budapest Temple, we have the Bhaktivedanta College. And they have 2 degree programs. These are state accredited 3-year degree programs. One is called yoga, the yoga degree. So those are the people who want to become yoga teachers. And the second is theology and philosophy. It's Vaishnava theology and philosophy. So most of the students come to do the yoga degree. We have 150 secular people, Hungarians in Hungarian medium. They're white Hungarian people who come to do this degree. And they know nothing about Krishna consciousness most of the time. Maybe some familiarity may be there, but they have to study as part of the course. Of course, they do yoga. They have to study yoga, then stretchy stuff, but they have to study Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Great Bhagavatam, and do exams.
Part of the yoga course.
Part of the yoga course.
Where it happens?
Next to the temple is a college. We have a building which is called Bhaktivedanta College, a big building, and they study there. And they have to study our Vaishnava scriptures because we teach them that yoga This Hatha yoga that you're interested in is one branch of the whole tree. And the topmost yoga system is Bhakti yoga. So you have to learn about Bhakti yoga because then that gives you an overall understanding. So they have to study all of these things. Some drop out because it's intense,
How many years, sir?
3 years. And then they can do a master's and a PhD.
This school yoga course.
It's called the Yoga Master degree. It's in Hungary. We just started English medium. This year, it just started English medium. They're translating all of the course material into English language because they want to broaden their scope to wider Europe and maybe the world.
How many students per year join?
150.
And how many of them take to chanting? Good temple?
So we have a dropout rate of maybe 30%. It's intense. They have to study verses. They have to do morning program 3 or 4 times in a year. They have to go out and distribute books. You know, it's intense. So we have around 35% dropout. And then what's left? 80% are favorable. You know, if they need a book distributed on the street, they'll give a donation, they like us. And maybe half will be some form of practitioners, and some of them even get initiated, some of them even joined. So it's a devoting recognition. It's very powerful. And all of the teachers are devotees. Initiated devotees, practicing devotees. They find it difficult because it's a state accredited degree. They can't preach. They have to present things not as fact, but as prepositions. You know, so they have to be careful in the way they deliver the message. But nonetheless, they're giving something very deep. They're giving Christian consciousness.
So they cover all the books and
They have all the books.
they help and they also go for distribution of books.
They have to go as part of the course that gives them certain points.
But there is no program for like chanting and all that is not that
That you can't.
that you cannot.
They have to experience Bhakti yoga. So this is part of the experience.
If they inquire, then we can.
They require.
But they will definitely inquire. Our books are filled with that.
It's not a residential, right? They stay in the house, just come and study and go.
Some online students also. This students from all over the country.
But they're reading Prabhupada books.
Yes. Your theology course is full on. So there's no yoga stuff. Then that goes even deeper. And there's that's less maybe 10, 15. Yeah. And that's all for devotees. We really want to. So there's theology and philosophy course, Vaishnav theology, and that's really, of course, devotees. You get an odd person who really wants to go deep into it, but otherwise it's devotees. Anyone else? Anything else?
So what about the restaurant? So what is the purpose of that? Because if everything is run from the then what is the purpose of all the restaurants?
So the restaurant actually, it doesn't make money. It would be good if it did. But the restaurant is there so that people will come. It attracts people actually. It attracts. So I'm pretty much the only brown guy there. All of the devotees, Hungarian, locally. Some people from Europe, a few Russians, a few Ukrainians, etc. Otherwise, they're all Hungarian people. The restaurant is a great way just to attract people to come to the temple. Devotees, they're working nearby, they come for lunch. And other people are just curious. It's a vegan restaurant. In the temple, we only serve ahimsa milk products from the farm. That's the policy. But the farm doesn't always have much extra milk because the farm milk, number 1, goes to the deities, number 2 goes to the children, number 3 goes to the women and to the families and to the devotees. And then if there's extra, then it comes to Budapest. So we generally don't get many milk products. So then the restaurant also is basically a vegan restaurant. So people are interested in these things, it's in vogue. So we get people who come, they're curious, and they come to the restaurant and they look around and they go to the shrine and they become curious, they get a book, they meet a devotee, and gradually like that, they can become introduced. I can speak and speak, but you have to come and see.
Yeah, and Shruti, we can. The coming would be not possible for everyone.
The proof of the pudding is the eating.
That is true. It is true, but I think practically.
Yes.
That's why. So one of the ways that is learn something when you have sadhus from that place. So let's learn. That's why this is the idea of it. So another thing about the kids. What do you have any? This is one thing for the kids aspect. On any activity you have to or what you do for the kids. And the second thing is the people who live in the farm on it, is that dedicated. Do you pay for them something? Like is the temple pays or do they have any other plans? Like in the life?
So first of all, for the kids, we have a gurukul at the farm, and there's 50 to 60 children who are studying at the gurukul, and that basically takes you from 3 or 4 years old, from kindergarten, all the way through to 18 now. It was 16, and recently now it's been increased all the way through to 18. So the gurukul is there. Yeah, Hungarian. Hungarian. You have to learn Hungarian. If you want to go there, you have to learn Hungarian. But actually, when the kids, like there's been some children who have come in. For example, when there was a Ukrainian crisis, we took in maybe 40, 50 Ukrainian refugees, and some of them stayed. And the kids just learn Hungarian. They learn very quickly when they're young. It's a very tough language. When you're 30 something, 40 something, then to learn a language is difficult. When you're 3, 4, 5, 6, much easier. So kids just pick it up, they learn. And so the Gurukul is there. And in Budapest, there's a small setup where there's a few teachers and they kind of homeschool the children collectively. There's not a formalized Gurukul in Budapest. Right? Ideally, there would be, and there was a few years ago. Right now, there's not.
The farm is recognized by the government?
Yes. They're strict in Hungary in terms of what children can do and can't do. But over the years, we've presented our philosophy, we've presented our education system, we follow their basic guidelines. They have to learn to do maths and read and write and those things. We do what they require. And over the years, we've gained more and more freedom over what we teach them. So now we also teach them Sanskrit, Shastra.
Is it a residential?
The Gurukul is, so basically, it's just not residential. The Gurukul is not residential.
Go to stay in the farms.
They stay in the farm or they stay in the village, so they're very close by, but it's not residential. They're brought in and out of school every day.
They can get entry at some later age also. Like
Yes.
they can.
This is co-ed, right? This is
Yes. Yes.
The second aspect of the family also.
Right. So in the families who are serving, those who are serving on the farm, they don't have anything. They don't receive pay. They're surrendered. So ideally, they sign a contract. It's called missionary status. Missionary status is a contract with Radhesham, where they say that Radhesham, you have vowed to be here for 10,000 years. Actually, this happened maybe 25 years ago. I'll kind of give you the progression. So devotees 25 years ago, they signed a contract with Radhesham. And that contract was that Radhesham, you vow to be here for 10,000 years, the golden age. And therefore, I vow to give just 100 lifetimes to you.
100.
100 lifetimes. 100 times.
100 is 10,000.
Yeah. I give you 100 lifetimes if you so desire. So they signed a contract with Radhesham, You're giving 10,000 years, we give 100 lifetimes. But now, basically, devotees have what we call missionary status. So in this way, it's a contract with Radhesham, a contract with the Yaksha, that we will live here at the farm, we will serve here at the farm, we give our lives, and the farm will take care of all of our needs, whatever is there. Of course, there are minimums and maximums. You know, what does care mean? So there are standards which are set. If a family has no children, then it's a certain standard, one child, another standard, two children, one standard like that. And for everyone is equal, it's the same. And there are no, but there's no pay. There's no pay. They don't have any balance.
You mentioned that focus.
That's ludicrous,
There is no farm.
not fun.
But if I go back to that.
Yes, sure.
How do you think that in this world of TikToks and the AI, when attention reels are going down, do you see that there are people actually reading these books? I mean, like Srimad Bhagavatam, like so many of different ones. Like, how do you think about the times and make sure that people can get attracted without having to post so much of knowledge? But it takes a lot of effort just to be paid back.
Let's be practical. Let's look at the education system. People still have to learn reams and reams of information.
Yeah.
They still have so much information that they have to correct. I mean, many of you are probably students. I just met this young man who's studying at MIT. The information load is still the same. If you're working, you still have to consume huge amounts of information still in order to do your job effectively. So I don't see that changing. So why should it change in Krishna consciousness? There is so much insight in these scriptures. And a sincere student of Krishna consciousness should study the scriptures. And when you do, then you realize how much depth, how much wisdom there is. And I still meet many, many people who read, who appreciate books. And even more so, I meet many people who have come and started to practice Krishna consciousness after having received a book and having read that book on the street. So there are still people who read and who appreciate books for sure. And at the same time, I think more and more we do have audio books. We have e-books which are out there, and we have various different modes and approaches of education. Also, I think we are moving with the times to a degree. But there's nothing like Prabhupada's books. There's nothing more potent, there's nothing more deep, and there's nothing more which speaks to the soul. These books really speak to the soul. So I've met people who read the Gita, they didn't understand anything, but just a few words touched them. Because actually, this is not an academic material process. This is a transcendental spiritual process. And according to one's consciousness, according to one's mood and surrender, Krishna reciprocates.
The question was about the modes of knowledge. So even that I went 100 years ago.
So
We each have access to books,
yes,
but now you have PDFs. You're essentially consuming a lot from the internet, from your laptop, essentially, right? And you're like audio and all those things. The question was essentially how do you take all of that knowledge and translate that into all these different PDF modes that ensure that people in this current world can still consume. Because I think in general the physical book thing is sort of going down as a result of where we are right. I still like that, but I think the number of people that I see,
yeah.
that number seems to be decreasing.
I looked up statistics a couple of years ago, and I saw that physical book sales have not gone down. Physical book sales in bookstores and so on, they haven't gone down. Yes, people are reading ebooks and audiobooks and so on. At the same time, physical book sales continue to be strong. So there is still an appetite for physical books. And I think they'll always be there. They'll always be there. Somehow, there'll always be an appetite for physical books.
So, just to add comment to that, like, so that's why, like, we are following what the word is following, like, so, like, in spirituality also, we see that many of the monks and many of the leaders of ISKCON, we are preparing short videos and they're putting on those sites, like, that's how we are also trying to utilize that because people are moving in that direction, so we also trying to do that. But those are extracts and excerpts from these guys. Yeah. Somehow, and then that which arouses their interest, and so then we can eventually will come back to like the books of book reading also. Yeah. That's
Website support this,
still. That's what it says. So we also have. So it's there. Eventually, it has to reach to that. Yeah. So these are like a base.
I think most of the Prabhupada books are also there in Veda base now. It's there.
All of our books.
All our books are from.
Sorry.
I know, I got like, I have physical books, my house is like plus, but I'm talking about the
Yeah.
next generation. I come from a different, and I like them.
Sure, me too.
These days it's sort of very different. You can do a lot, like on my phone or my Kindle. I can go from like Gita Chintan to something else. It's like it's, physical books it's sort of more software, right? So that's, and you have to almost create multiple small magnets to attract people, if that makes sense. It
Absolutely.
used to be like one big thing now, but then people are of different propensities.
Yes.
So that's what, and to this point, I think we have to move with how the world sort of changes, right? Because people need this hope, otherwise, this.
Absolutely agreed. And yes, so all of Srila Prabhupada's books are available on the database already. And they're available in audio books. So that's all there. And then devotees are producing summaries. They're producing books which present the same wisdom in a way which is accessible. Videos, there's lectures. There's a lot of information. At the same time, we're competing with, there's an information overload. There's just so many different mediums and sources of information. The internet is awash with info. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. And so, yeah, we're competing in that sense also with a lot. But there are many devotees out there who are outputting a lot also and giving devotees options. I think if someone is sincere and they want to learn, they want to find something connect with, then we have a lot of mediums out there these days where they can connect in easy ways.
Yeah. Also the combination of some Kirtan and Shravan.
Sure.
Like create that virtuous cycle. Yes, they all work in a complementary way.
Absolutely. So let's see where it's progressing. We're progressing. Thank you, everyone. Almost 10. Conservation Bhagavatam Ki, the Prabhupada Ki, Nittai Gopimanandi.
Next question. So we have few more questions. We'll discuss one thing. So let's go.
Thank you, Prabhu. So first time I heard, so Hungary is different from Belgium. That's Radha Desh. That's a different community. And even Shivaram Maharaj is taken over both, right? He's in charge of the Belgium. That's headed by him. Radha Desh is headed by him.
I'm not sure. It's
I've had it leaders.
Yeah.
In this with the Hungary discussion, we are also putting
Actually, I used to serve in Vrindavan Gurukul actually. Yeah, actually, at Tamil University there as well. So the Gurukul, which was next to the temple, which the Prabhupada established, that we moved to a new place, like 40 minutes drive from Vrindavan temple, in a 100-acre land where the Goshalas and farming and one. There are like 400 students there.
Well, we're not going to, you get houses done by now.
Also, the old Gurukul temple, that building got demolished and they're making the guest house.
Yeah, so with,
I think it'll take a couple of years.
but it's a
Yeah. That's
so
someone's name. Anand Shishya. Radha.
Will fix it.